as third-ranked Boise State battles sixth-ranked Penn State. The Nittany Lions are 12-2. Boise State is 12-1. The matchup in Glendale, Arizona in the Fiesta Bowl. New Year's Day in Atlanta at the Peach Bowl. It's fourth seed Arizona State battling fifth seed Texas. The Longhorns are 12-2. The Sun Devils 11-2. At the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, 13-0 Oregon. The number one seed battles eighth seed Ohio State. The Buckeyes are 11-2. Then at the Superdome in New Orleans in the Sugar Bowl, second-ranked Georgia puts their 11-2 mark on the line against seventh-ranked Notre Dame. The Irish are 12-1. NFL Thursday, the Seahawks beat the Bears. Bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive. That's the Sports Grid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
This holiday season, Straight Talk Wireless is letting you say yes a lot more with real unlimited data. Yes to sharing pics of the ugliest holiday sweaters. Yes to checking weather on the go for surprise sledding trips. And with a free phone at sign up, let the yes-tivities begin.
No way!
Yes way. Straight Talk, real unlimited data. Available at Walmart or straighttalk.com. Offer valid through 1/5/25 while supplies last at participating stores. Taxes and fees apply. Requires in-store activation on select single line plans. Limit of 2 phones per customer. For network management practices, visit straighttalk.com.
Order for Jennifer C.
Is this my double shot, double cream, double froth, double pump, double whip, double sleeve?
Yeah. Can you handle that much caffeine?
Did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Oh, really? That's great.
Seriously, did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Yeah, you just said that.
Did you say I just said that?
Yeah, I'm cutting you off.
I can't have any more? Why not?
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
No way football is played in the fall and winter
because the hits don't hurt as much when you're numb. Get the lowdown on all the sports action coming up right here.
It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.
This is the Sports Grid Radio Network.
Hey, welcome in. It is Football Full Circle. I'm Scott Wetzel alongside George Kurtz as we talk NFL for the next 60 minutes right here on the Grid. The NFL week well underway. We've got to set the record. This really is realistically has to be the record for most days in which we have NFL football in 1 week. 5, believe it or not. Christmas Wednesday, yesterday. We got a few Saturday and then Sunday, and then we even have the Monday night game, which I'm a little surprised with. Normally we have all these other specialty days. You kick back somewhere along the line. But how about that? For those.
All right, as Scott was saying here, we have so many games this week. I got to tell you, though, they haven't been the greatest of games. All right, I mean, come on. Green Bay, New Orleans Monday night was a small disaster here. The Christmas games, I don't think you can blame the NFL. The games were on Christmas supposed to be good games. Pittsburgh, Kansas City, hey, technically 2 first-place teams, but ended up being a dud. And Houston just didn't even bother showing. I guess they were still eating their little Christmas goose there Wednesday night. That didn't go well. And then last night, Scott, 6-3, 6. I mean, we were complaining about the 12-6 game, 2 weeks ago between the Rams and San Fran? This made that one look like, 35-31 Super Bowl here. Just I was like, oh, and by the way, if they really wanted to punish us, they would have gone to overtime. We should be happy. I don't know what the Bears. You know what, Scott? You know what really gets me? I mean, one of the reasons why Eberflus got fired, well, I mean, listen, I certainly wasn't the only reason, was because in that Detroit game, he defended his timeout usage and his clock management. And then last night, we heard this morning, the head coach did it again. He defended. You called 3 timeouts when the clock was stopped. 3. And your play calling was atrocious. When you only need maybe 5-10 yards to at least attempt a field goal here. The Bears are just a clusterfuck.
Yeah, they really, they don't know what they're doing on the sidelines, George. I say it all the time. You and I, the average football fan, watches, between 15 and 20 literally games a week when you consider the college football stuff on Saturdays and all the specialty games. These head coaches, I don't know if they watch any. Maybe 1 or 2. They watch a ton of game film, but they're not watching end of the game minutia and when to call timeouts, when to do challenges, when to run the ball, when to throw the ball, because you have certain circumstances. I always believe you got to at least tie the game before you can win it. Their excuse of throwing the ball on 4 downs there at the end, before, rather than, maybe running on 1, get 4 or 5 yards, get it to better field goal range, then you still have a couple of more downs to win it. His excuse was he was just trying to win the football game. Oh, okay. That sounds good. But did you coach? No. I mean, we saw why he's an interim head coach, right? But it is kind of embarrassing. I think when the Bears see themselves on national TV at this point, they're like, "Oh, not again." We're going to get embarrassed again because our coaching is so bad. And I got that sense with Caleb Williams. For me, for the most part, I've been anti Caleb Williams and all his antics and his expressions and his mannerisms he's kind of like Kyler Murray light. He shows when he's disgusted. But, even for me, it came to a point last night where I felt bad for the dude because he's trying to run plays. He's looking on the sideline. What are we doing? And, then you call the timeouts like you referred to there. And he's just like, what are we? What? You're never going to win that way.
No, and as you said, you already fired the coach. The interim coach, he's not going anywhere anyway. It looks like he was going to get the job here. A lot of noise that Ben Johnson, the Lions offensive coordinator, is going to be the main guy there. I don't know if Ben wants to leave the Lions to go play inside the division or coach inside the division there for a team that's – you've got some pieces, but you've got a long ways to go here. But as you're sort of saying there, that offensive line is putrid. All right, Caleb was running for his life. He was running for his life from snap. Right, so they got to fix. That's it. They have a ways to go here, and boy, it's not going to get any easier. I mean, Green Bay's not going anywhere. Detroit's not going anywhere, and Minnesota, which is sort of a surprise team this year. I mean, they've got a big decision to make with Sam Darnold. Do you sign him? Do you franchise him? Do you go with J.J. McCarthy? I mean, that's going to be very interesting. I know Joe Lisi and I talked about it yesterday, what the Vikings might do there with McCarthy, but the Bears sort of behind the eight ball right now. They're in the strongest division in the NFL.
Yeah, they really are. I know a lot of people are into Ben Johnson, right? And it sounds, nice, easy, cool name, Ben Johnson, right? Nothing for nothing. But then when you look at the guy, I must say, George, he looks like he's 15. I mean, I really don't know. I know he's accomplished a lot, big part of the success with Detroit. No two ways about it. But I don't know. He looks like he's 15. Are players really going to listen to him? He's got like Zach Taylor written all over him. Stay a coordinator. Be a coordinator for another 2, 3, 4 years. Get to the point where you could actually shave in the morning, and then maybe become a head coach. I don't think, I'd want him as my man. I'm into old school. Give me the old guy. Give me Bill Belichick. Give me the 70-year-old versus the 30-year-old. As simple as that for me.
Well, see, I don't want that. I get your point.
You know what I mean. Give me the older guy versus someone that they're going to respect.
Like the older guy as well.
Him.
I think they'll respect because all the numbers he's putting up here. But your point is well taken here. Now he's already turned down one head coaching cycle, right? He didn't. He could have been a head coach last year. He turned it down. Supposedly. If I'm Ben Johnson, to take your points to heart, I am waiting for the perfect situation. And if it's not there this year, if you don't want to be the Giants head coach, the Jets, Saints, and we'll go, the 6 to 8 teams that are going to have a new head coach, fine. Wait till next year. We know there's going to be 6 to 8 more next year, right? Every year it comes up, but wait for your I wouldn't rush into a situation because I think you'll be it's not like the Detroit Lions offense is going anywhere next year. I think it'll be just as good. They're going to put 1 million points next year as well. You still got Goff, St. Brown, Gibbs, and everybody else there. So you're going to put up points. So you're not in a rush to take the job, just like he wasn't in a rush to take it at the last year. But you can't wait. I don't think you wait 2, 3 years from now. Suppose you wait to that year where your offense isn't very good. You had a lot of injuries. Goff went down. St. Brown got hurt. All of a sudden, you're not the hot commodity anymore. So you do have to strike while the iron's hot. Now, listen, I don't know how much money he's making as a coordinator. Jerry Jones used to pay his coordinators a lot of money, so they wouldn't take head coaching jobs. I don't know if the Lions are doing that with Johnson, but if I'm him, I'd be very careful about my choice here because you do have a good situation in Detroit that's not likely to change for the next year or two.
Yeah, kind of like Eric Bieniemy with Kansas City. Right? He could have had that offensive coordinator's job forever if he really wanted to. Maybe never get a head coaching job. Maybe never get any respect, to get any credit, right? So what does he do? He goes to Washington, tries to set himself separate from Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes. He's a flop in Washington, gets hired by UCLA. He's a flop at UCLA, fired after 1 year in Washington, fired after 1 year in UCLA. So all that talk about racism and he's not getting a head coaching job because he's black, which I never bought into. Clearly that was not the issue. I don't know what the issue is with him. Maybe he's just a dope or something behind the scenes. But, he's flopped in 2 situations completely separate from one another after just 1 year. So
I think the problem with Bieniemy was that in Kansas City, everybody gave Andy Reid the credit, right? He was the one calling the plays, not Bieniemy. So I think that was the problem with Kansas City there. And I think Bieniemy sort of wanted to get away from that to prove that he could do it by himself. And as Scott said, he flopped. Right? He felt it didn't work out there. So I think, once again, Scott, I think your point is very well taken there. The difference between Ben Johnson is calling the plays for Detroit, right? He's coming up with all these trick plays, which, by the way, he's probably gone a little overboard for. But he wasn't kidding. Remember early in the year, I think it was a Dallas game, where he sort of got criticized. What are you running all these plays for? And, when you're winning by 30 points. And he's like, I got plenty of them. Don't worry about it. He wasn't lying. He wasn't lying. He does have plenty of them, right? So good for him. Good for the Lions here. I said, I think if I'm Ben Johnson, this comes down to, who do you want to be the head coach of? Is there a certain team you're waiting for? What's the best opportunity for you? And if it's me, with the situation he's in, assuming he's making decent bank with the Detroit Lions, I don't know what his salary is. I'd have to look it up here. But assuming he's making decent bank, or they're willing to give him a decent bank, I'm not going to Chicago. I just don't want to be in the division, Scott. I don't want to be in that division. I don't want to be, fighting with Detroit, fighting with Green Bay, fighting with Minnesota. I mean, no matter how good you are going to be, it's going to be a couple of years where Chicago's ready to compete with these guys. And that's assuming you do well in free agency, do well in the draft. All right. And that Caleb Williams is that guy. That's a lot of assumptions to make. That's just a lot of assumptions to make. That's why if I'm Ben Johnson, I'm waiting for the right decision. Maybe it's to get out of the NFC completely, go to the AFC. Maybe like the New York Jets, the Giants, whatever it might be here. I'm George Kurtz. He's Scott Wetzel. We'll be back. Football full circle right after this.
4 out of 5 scientists agree it's smarter to be on Sports Grid, and we're pretty sure that one scientist is still a virgin.
He just gives that vibe.
This is the Sports Grid Radio Network.
California saw its biggest increase in registered lobbyists last session since at least 2011, when a change in the law caused the number to more than double. This update brought to you by Progressive. There was a roughly 10% increase in the number of lobbyists who registered for the 2023-24 session compared to the previous one, for a record of 3,245 people, according to the Secretary of State's office. Longtime lobbyist Chris Michelli sees it as the result of high turnover in the legislature, leading to a, quote, exodus of legislative staff who went into advocacy. The number of Americans applying for unemployment benefits held steady last week, though continuing claims rose to the highest level in 3 years. Jobless claim applications ticked down by 1,000 to 219,000 for the week of December 21st, according to the Labor Department. That's fewer than the 223,000 analysts forecast. Continuing claims climbed by 46,000 to 1.91 million for the week of December 14th. I'm Trey Westerberg with the Sports Grid News Flash.
I love spreading joy with gifts this time of year, but I try not to spread my budget too thin. Luckily, Kohl's has come through for me once again. I just went and used a 25% off coupon to score so many great gifts under $20, like cozy pajamas and fleece, amazing gift sets, and beauty must-haves. So if you're looking to give more for less this season, get to Kohl's. Select styles, offers end December 24th. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
Home ownership. At Progressive, we know it's part of the American dream. It's the land of the free and the home of student drivers ready to back into your new fence at any given time. It's firing up a round of burgers and dogs on your rusty grill with a faulty gas line that engulfs your tool shed in flames. It's also around-the-clock protection when you bundle your home and auto with Progressive, which can help keep the American dream of home ownership alive and kicking. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states.
There's something you should know and always remember.
Sports Grid does not increase luck.
We're your unfair advantage for the latest sports gaming information. If you're looking for luck,
go find a horseshoe.
This is the Sports Grid Radio Network.
Welcome back, Football Full Circle. I'm George Kurtz. He's Scott Wetzel, bringing you the Week 17 action here. Only 2 weeks left in the NFL season here. A lot of complaints, by the way, because of all the bad games, right? I was surprised Green Bay and New Orleans wasn't flexed out Monday night. I'm thinking, once again, Green Bay, they're a draw. They don't like flexing out those games. I don't blame them for Sunday. I'm sorry, for Wednesday, for Christmas. Those games were supposed to be good scheduled games. Pittsburgh, Kansas City, 2 first-place teams. Didn't work out, but 2 good games there. And even the night game, Baltimore, Houston, 2 playoff teams. Houston just has nothing to play for. They're locked in that 4th seed, while Baltimore's playing for a division title there. And maybe a little easier road here in the playoffs. Last night was just, I don't know what to tell you about Seattle, Chicago. All right, that was just bad football here. A game most of us did not do well on in one way or the other, whether you're gambling on, whether you're playing fantasy. It's just an ugly game here. Seahawks still have a slight shot to win that division, but I think they need to win. Rams have to lose out, and good luck with that. Rams play the Cardinals on Sunday. And by the way, with Sunday slate, Scott, I don't know, not going all that much better here. Sunday slate, a lot of ugly games here. All right, on Sunday. Other than Minnesota, Green Bay at 4, I'm looking here. Is there another game that involves two playoff teams or two teams going to the playoffs? And the answer would be, I guess, the night game, Atlanta-Washington, if we're going to count that. But the Sunday slate, as far as the afternoon, that's going to be kind of ugly as well. So it's just not going to be fun. All right, it's just not going to be fun here. The Saturday games, though, we're going to get to those. This is the first game: Chargers, Patriots here. Chargers. Now they are playing for something, right? Justin Herbert. Now we're hearing that they could activate J.K. Dobbins, maybe. Gus Edwards is not going to play, so if they don't activate Dobbins, they'll be going with Kamani Vidal there at running back. We know the receiving game. Herbert's a great quarterback, but when they traded away Williams, they traded away Keenan Allen. They were saying that, hey, guess what? We're not going to have much of a wide receiver game this year. He's been hurt as well. The Patriots, Drake might be that quarterback of the future. He just might be. But, I don't know how this game is going to go well for New England. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. The under, most of it's going to be on the under in this contest here. That's not a surprise here. I think the Chargers will come away with the victory. Although I'm the first person to tell you, traveling from west to east, playing an early 1 o'clock game, especially on a Saturday, not even a Sunday, generally not good for the West Coast team. So once again, we might want to take that into effect here. With that being said, I'll be on the Chargers. We're all waiting for the Denver-Cincinnati game, right? The late afternoon game here. But a lot of the luster was taken off this game when Kansas City won. That Kansas City win means, well, they don't have anything to play for next week. And in order for Cincinnati to make the playoffs, or Indianapolis, or Miami, by the way, they needed the Denver Broncos to lose Saturday, which Cincinnati can take care of with the victory. And they also needed the Broncos to lose next week. Broncos play Kansas City next week. I mean, I'm not saying Mahomes is going to sit the game, but we're talking how much are you going to play? A quarter at most? I mean, Mahomes, Wentz, Chris Jones didn't play on Christmas Day. He has an injury. I don't know if he plays at all here. So that's going to be a problem as well. And I know everybody wants Cincinnati in the playoffs, Scott. All right, because, hey, it's Joe Burrow, it's Jamar Chase. It'd be fun, right? And I said I think it will. It would be great as well. But we all forget, by the way, Cincinnati not only needs to beat Denver on Sunday and have Denver lose next week, but they also need the Indianapolis Colts to lose at least one game. Scott, Indianapolis plays the Giants on Sunday.
Yeah,
they ain't losing that game.
Yeah.
And then they finish up with Jacksonville. I guess there's a chance they could lose that game. And by the way, Miami also has to lose a game. All right, and Miami plays Cleveland. All right, the weather's not going to be Cleveland-like. It'll be like about 50 degrees here. I think 2 will be okay there. I think Miami finishes up against the Jets here, so no guarantee of a loss there. Even if Cincinnati were to win out, and Denver were to lose out, I don't think Cincinnati makes the playoffs anyway.
Yeah. I think the team, George, that really, you said it, that believe it or not, and I'm not saying this as a Dolphin fan, but I think it's the Dolphins out of all these outside teams that, kind of have a shot. They need Denver to lose twice and the Dolphins to win, and then the Colts to lose one time because they lose the head-to-head tiebreaker with the Colts. Maybe the Colts can kind of stub their toe there a little bit. But, could Denver lose twice to open up all these, cans of worm? Yes. I could see that happening. I know, they can certainly lose, Saturday rather, to Cincinnati. Could they lose to Kansas City when Kansas City is realistically playing for nothing? Yeah, here's why. One, you got Carson Wentz, so it's not like you're going down to a rookie quarterback. You got a quarterback who wants to show a little something, right? And then two, you do have the bye for Kansas City, so I would expect, Mahomes and company to play, maybe not an entire game, obviously, maybe not even an entire half, but I think they'll get a couple of drives in. I'd be surprised if they didn't play at least a quarter, but again, knowing that even if he doesn't, you still got a halfway decent quarterback in Carson Wentz against Denver. So, Broncos would have a major chip on their shoulder, knowing that they got a playoff spot on the line, the way they lost the first game against Kansas City with the field goal being blocked. I get all that stuff. But, from an NFL standpoint, at least, and from a Dolphin standpoint, and a Charger and Colts and all that, I think heading into the last week of the season, you'll have a shot. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I don't give. I'm not saying Denver has no shot. They do have. Kansas City has no shot at beating Denver. They do have a shot. Let's face it, Denver's not the greatest team either. All right.
Wow.
So yes, and I agree with you. I don't think Mahomes will not play the entire game. I don't think he takes the week off. It's too long to go without playing football. I mean, they would have played on Christmas, and the next important game would be you look at semifinals, right? That's 3 weeks from now. So I don't think he's going to go 3 weeks without playing football. He won't play the full game. They're going to want to protect the ankle here. I think once Mahomes comes out of the game, Kelsey comes out of the game. Probably Hollywood Brown comes out of the game. No use getting chemistry with a quarterback you're not going to play with there. So they'll go with the secondary plays. But those secondary players could be good enough to beat Denver, sure, especially if Mahomes can give you 10 points before he leaves. All right, that'd be certainly a big bonus there. So they would have a shot. It would be interesting to put it nicely. All right.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing. I think the biggest thing, George, is even with the NFC is that, there may be some playoff spots on the line, not nearly as many as I'm sure the NFL would like heading into next week. But I don't think realistically any of these teams have a shot in either league. I don't think whether it's Tampa Bay or Atlanta, whoever wins the NFC South, I don't think it matters. Whether it's Seattle, or the Rams, maybe you want to make a case for the Rams to really do something. Maybe AFC is Denver or Miami. I suppose Cincinnati would be the one where potentially they could put it all together and create a little havoc in the AFC. But I realistically, I don't think so. But George and I will talk more about it when we come back. Football full circle here on The Grid.
There's smart.
And there's not smart.
Not smart is hope as a strategy. It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.
Keep it here.
And win. This is the Sports Grid Radio Network. The Sports Grid Radio Network presents This Date in Sports History.
In 1959, the National Football League Championship at Memorial Stadium in Baltimore, the Colts beat the Giants 31-16. Baltimore scores 24 straight points in the fourth quarter. In 1974, the 40th Heisman Trophy Award goes to Ohio State running back Archie Griffin. And in 1979, the Red Army beats the New York Rangers at Madison Square Garden. For Sports Grid Radio, I'm Mike DeMurgis.
The Technology Minute with George Capalbo.
AI algorithms trained by Dartmouth researchers with tens of thousands of knee x-rays looking for hidden medical insights. The AI discovered if orthopedic patients drank beer or didn't like to eat refried beans. These amazing, subtle, unintended patterns in the data are all highly accurate, except have absolutely no basis in medical fact. An AI defect known as shortcut learning, while it's a great tool, AI doesn't actually reason or understand and can easily hallucinate. Follow me at Chicapalvo on X and stay tuned to the Technology Minute for more cool stuff like this.
Sports Rage tonight.
Like the Saints, the only tackle the Saints have made all night is on their own effing player. Like, God, this team is bad. It's like I'm watching the New York Giants. Like, this is like bad news Bears football. Like, you guys actually intercept the ball, but your own player pops it loose. And on the next play, the Packers run for 15 yards.
It's Sports Rage tonight with Gabe Morency. Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific. On the Sports Grid Radio Network. Wherever you go,
there you are.
Download the Sports Grid mobile app and we'll be right there with you.
So now you can get the winning edge
anywhere. Even while the wife's talking to you.
If you've got an earbud.
This is the Sports Grid Radio Network.
Eastern time. Talk a little NFL. So, I mentioned at the top there, Georgia, 5 days of football in the NFL. Usually that's heaven, right? But boy, so far, 3 really duds. I mean, Kansas City, Pittsburgh, I suppose, wasn't too bad. One guy with the under, that would be me, was quite happy with Pittsburgh basically waving a white flag there at the end of the game and not scoring a touchdown. Then you got the Baltimore and Houston. I mean, all good games, realistically on paper. Pittsburgh and Kansas City, okay, but that was a dud. Baltimore, Houston, that was an even bigger dud, 31-2. But that Texan team, but nowhere near the karma and magic that they had last year. They won the division, but at 9-7, no one's expected anything out of them. And then, the game last night was beyond atrocious. So, so we're hoping for some fun on Sunday, or at least these Saturday games. Again, they all are important. They all look like they're going to be pretty good games, but between the college football, all games going to 5-6 overtimes. Meanwhile, we got NFL games that are just basically duds. So hopefully that flips somewhere along the line.
It's going to be an interesting weekend, Scott, because I'm looking at all the games here. Weather is going to be a factor this weekend. It's not so much cold or snow, by the way. It's rain. There's rain in more than half, and the focus more than half of these games here, right, including the games on Saturday. New England, slight chance of rain here. Cincinnati, likely rain. Giants, likely rain. Buffalo, definite rain. Rain showers in Tampa Bay even. Eagles, definite rain showers. Thunderstorms for Jacksonville here. Chance of rain in Cleveland. Minnesota's, of course, indoors. And Washington, likely rain showers as well. So we're getting rain in every game other than the dome games here. So it's going to play a factor this weekend here. We might want to take that into effect. We've seen rain affect other games so far. I mean, last night it rained here. Maybe that Thursday night game between San Fran and the Rams, the rain affected it there, where it was pretty gross. So we might want to keep an eye on that as well. As far as the quality of games, I mean, we went to Christmas. Listen, the games were on paper. They were supposed to be good games here. It didn't work out. It's late in the season. Teams, don't have something to play for here. But there are also a lot of bad teams in the NFL. I mean, probably more than normal, where they're just bad teams. And that's going to lead to bad games. I mean, like I said, you look at the slate here. I'm trying to find two games where it means something for both teams here. On Saturday, it's really only Denver, Cincinnati. On Sunday, nope, that's just one. It's just Minnesota, Green Bay. The night game means something to both teams. Atlanta, Washington, and even the Monday night game. That's just Detroit. Means nothing to San Fran. Yeah. So that hurts. That just hurts here. It's just one of those years. I don't think this is a sign of things to come. It's just a lot of bad teams in the NFL.
Yeah, as I said earlier, I mean, listen, you have a couple of races here that are up for grabs, but ultimately, if you were going to pick one out of Atlanta, Tampa Bay, Seattle, Rams in the NFC, and then, Dolphins, Bengals, Broncos, you want to throw the Chargers in there, Colts in the AFC. Would you give any one of those, 9 teams, 8 teams, whatever it was there, a realistic shot of even being in the AFC or NFC conference championship game?
No, I don't. I think we are top heavy. I think the AFC, you got the big boys, Kansas City, Buffalo, Baltimore. I'm not sure I give anybody else a shot after that. The NFC, it's pretty much Philadelphia, probably all the teams in the North, as far as Green Bay, Detroit. I don't want to put Minnesota in there, but I guess you have to. They just keep winning. I just don't see Sam Darnold beating these guys. But that's really it. I guess if you're going to make me pick one team, well, I think you and I have talked about this before. The Buccaneers are the only team to have defeated both the Lions and the Eagles. I guess there has to be something to say for that. It was in September, so it was forever ago, and they were a different team back then, but they did beat both. But they, hey, they should have lost to Carolina, about a month ago, after that Trevor Hubbard fumble. They just lost to the Cowboys. Probably can't lose those games. So, no, I don't think Atlanta, by the way, wins Sunday night against Washington. I guess Washington would be in there as well, by the way. They might have a puncher's chance with Jaden Daniels and the magic he can pull off.
Hard to believe that a team that beat the 2 best perceived teams in the NFC might not even make the playoffs. I mean, you talk about a topsy-turvy, that's Baker Mayfield, and if you want to put it all on one person, right? That's Baker. At times, he looks like he could be a Super Bowl winning quarterback. And other times, he looks like a dud. How do you lose to Dallas, yet somehow or another find a way earlier, albeit in the season, to beat Detroit and Philadelphia? That's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Crazy. All right, we'll look more at the AFC when we come back in some of the Sunday games. Football full circle. You're on the grid.
The winning edge.
You've got it.
But not everybody has it, because not everybody listens to us.
But we're working on that.
This is the Sports Grid Radio Network.
Progressive presents the Sports Grid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders. College football bowl action on Thursday in 6 overtimes. Toledo outlasted Pittsburgh 48-46 at the Sports Bowl. Tucker Gleason ran for an overtime score and threw for 4 more as Toledo and Pittsburgh set a bowl record with 6 overtimes. That game surpassed the previous mark set just 2 days earlier when South Florida beat San Jose State 41-39 in 5 overtimes at the Hawaii Bowl on Tuesday. At the Rate Bowl, Kansas State beat Rutgers 44-41. Dylan Edwards scored 3 touchdowns as K-State rallied for the win. Rutgers led the game by 10 at the half. At the Ventures Bowl, Arkansas State got by Bowling Green 38-31. Thursday Night Football, the Seahawks beat the Bears 6-3. Seattle remains in playoff contention. They'll be hoping for the Rams to lose to Arizona tomorrow. Bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive. That's the Sports Grid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
This holiday season, Straight Talk Wireless is letting you say yes a lot more with real unlimited data. Yes to sharing pics of the ugliest holiday sweaters. Yes to checking weather on the go for surprise sledding trips. And with a free phone at sign up, let the yes-tivities begin.
No way!
Yes way. Straight Talk, real unlimited data. Available at Walmart or straighttalk.com. Offer valid through 1/5/25 while supplies last at participating stores. Taxes and fees apply. Requires in-store activation on select single line plans. Limit of 2 phones per customer. For network management practices, visit straighttalk.com.
Order for Jennifer C.
Is this my double shot, double cream, double froth, double pump, double whip, double sleeve?
Yeah. Can you handle that much caffeine?
Did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Oh, really? That's great.
Seriously, did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Yeah, you just said that.
Did you say I just said that?
Yeah, I'm cutting you off.
I can't have any more? Why not?
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
You're listening to Sports Grid.
Spreading the winning edge far and wide.
Terrestrial, internet, TV, satellite, and don't forget our mobile app.
Face it.
The winning edge is everywhere.
Somewhere there's a squirrel frustrated he can't get a phone.
This is the Sports Grid Radio Network.
All right, welcome back. It is Football Full Circle here on the Grid. Scott and George until the top of the hour. Checking out some of the Sunday games. One line that I'm curious to know why it didn't move, George, was Buffalo laying 9.5 against the Jets. Understand the line, Buffalo at home and all that, but I would have thought with Kansas City winning and clinching the number 1 seed, Buffalo playing for nothing, and I mean nothing, not even seedings, that line would have dropped just a little bit. I know this is not the last week, so I'm guessing, Josh Allen and company will play a full game. But, like I said, with the incentive taken off, I'm a little just looking at some of the lines for this weekend. That's the one I fully expected when I looked on the sites. Maybe down to 7.5. I don't think much lower than that, but I thought it would drop a couple points, but it didn't. Buffalo's still laying 9.5 against the Jets. You surprised?
I am. For the reasons you mentioned, Josh Allen is banged up. Now, he's taking the first team rep, so he's going to play. All right. But he's banged up. And, McDermott is – I know it's kind of strange for as well as Buffalo's play, but McDermott is sort of on the hot seat here. If Allen gets hurt in this game where, he can't play in the playoffs, you're going to take a lot of heat, here. I'm not saying they should sit him. I'm not, because I wouldn't sit him. I would probably play him a half, maybe 3/4. But not a full game, especially if the Jets are getting to him. If he's taking hits here, I'm like, hey. And I'm also telling Josh, by the way, listen, the game doesn't mean anything. If you're going to run, that's fine.
Don't run.
Slide.
Yeah.
You can't be taking hits. You have to slide. You take one hit because you decided to play tough guy, I'm pulling you. That's pretty much what I would say. I don't want you taking hits that are for unnecessary for no reason. If you're going to win the MVP, you're going to win it or not. I don't think you're the MVP. I think it is Lamar Jackson, by the way. And by the way, if Saquon Barkley does have to set the record, it's probably him. So, and it's nothing against Allen. Allen's had a fantastic year, by the way, but Jackson's numbers dwarf all he has. I know we can say here, what's the value of MVP? You take away Allen, Buffalo's terrible. We take away Jackson, Baltimore's terrible. I mean, we can play this game all day long here. But Jackson's numbers are just better than Allen's all over the place here. So I think I would still vote for Lamar Jackson, but we could have voter fatigue where maybe he doesn't get it anyway. But the bottom line is this. If I'm Buffalo, I am very careful with Josh Allen. So I'm sort of with you here. The 9.5 is probably too high. But, Scott, I've bet on the Jets a couple of times this year. It just hasn't panned out.
Worked out. Yeah. I mean, it's looking more and more evident. It's funny how these stories don't leak out until we find out later on. Where I was reading, whether it was this week or late last week, something with Aaron Rodgers' contract that I know he renegotiated, but now it's like if he's on the team, they got to pay him like $35 million more than what they originally had. There was some goofy clause in there that almost stipulated there's no way in the world this guy's going to be on this football team next year. So, yeah, I wonder if the MVP thing plays into this. If you're Buffalo and your main goal is to win a Super Bowl, I might play Allen, a half, 3/4, maybe the whole game since he's got another game left. But you're right, George. I'm not calling any bootlegs. I'm not even calling quarterback sneaks, no quarterback draws like they usually run with him. I'm not doing any of that stuff. But if you're thinking about MVP and you want to prop his numbers up and you got Lamar coming off a big game and you want to kind of showcase your guy, you call his number a lot more than what normally you would.
Listen, if McDermott's worried about MVP for Allen, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I just don't know what to tell you. That's not your job. All right. That's not. Your job is to win a Super Bowl here. Listen, the odds of, if Allen was perfectly healthy, I might feel differently, Scott, but he's already got a couple of injuries that we know about. Didn't he say he fractured his left hand? Okay, it's not your throwing arm. I get it, but you got a fractured left hand here. Now you got a banged up shoulder as well. You can play through it. I understand that, but I keep saying this. I would not bench him. By the way, I'm not sitting him for 3 weeks. I don't like that. But a lot of this is game. When I watch the game, by the way, if he's back there and the Jets aren't coming close to touching him, he can order a pizza, have a coffee, and a scotch afterwards. That's fine. But if he's taking hits here, then hey, sooner or later I got to be smart here. I got to be smart. And like I said, I'm dead serious about telling him, you can run, that's fine. But if you take an unnecessary hit, you decide to put your shoulder down, that's idiotic. All right, we don't care if we win the game. We want to win it. We want to play. We want to go into the playoffs, on a healthy streak here. Let's not do anything stupid here. And if you if you are doing anything stupid, you get caught up in the moment. Being that great competitor you are, well, then guess what? Your butt's going to be planted on this bench right here, right next to me.
How about Colts laying 7.5 against the Giants? You talk about an unbettable game. I'd just as soon bet on the Jacksonville Titans game than I would this one, because if things fall the wrong way Saturday, then the Colts are eliminated. Now you're holding on to a Colts laying 7.5 ticket. Who wants to do that? But even if they are still alive, who the heck wants to take, the Colts laying a touchdown plus on the road? You can't bet the Giants, right? I mean, they're just atrocious. So to out of all the games, I think that's the one where it's just like, wow, you just talk about flipping a coin. Maybe an over or under. Well, you ready to lay 7.5 with the Colts on the road?
I'm looking to my right here because actually an alert just came on that once again, Anthony Richardson is not practicing today. All right, Joe Flacco is taking first team reps. How does that change our
with him? Yeah, I'd be more confident with him, right?
I don't know.
Go back to the Meadowlands.
I just don't know here if I just don't know. I just don't know if I trust this. Do I want to go with Joe Flacco? Do I want to go with Anthony? The Giants suck. All right, they're only playing, for Shedeur Sanders, right? They want to get that worst pick, that first round pick, first overall pick. Excuse me. All right, so they have no incentive. I know the players do have incentives, by the way. The good news is, if you're thinking about the Giants, that Neighbors and Tyrone Tracy did practice today. So that would seem that they're going to play on Sunday. I'm not so sure I would take their props, by the way. Anyway, I don't like taking injured players' props here, but they're probably going to play. But I can't take the Giants. It's either Colts or I'm just leaving it alone. Right? That's the only thing I can think of. Either I'm going to lay it with the Colts, maybe put the Colts in a teaser, get it down to you want to take a 6-point teaser, 1.5, or you want to buy it for 7.5. You can convince me of that. I think the Colts do win the game. All right, but I don't know.
What if Denver wins Saturday though? If you had to make the play right now, Denver wins Saturday, the Colts are done.
The Colts are done.
Yeah.
And how much does that affect? How much the air go out of the balloon there? It's a great point. Maybe it's when we just wait. We just wait then to see what happens on Saturday. Maybe we have no choice. Or but if you wait, we might lose. It wouldn't go up to 8. I don't see it, or 8 no matter what happens. No, so you have nothing to lose by waiting. Right? Nothing to lose by. I'd wait. Listen, I might want to wait anyway to see who's going to start between Richardson and Flacco. That's assuming Steichman's going to tell us.
Right. The only thing I would do if you were going to do it, because it is sitting on that magic number there, 7.5, you bet the Giants now, Broncos win, Colts are eliminated, and maybe it drops down to 5.5, and then you got yourself a 2-point middle. And the middle is, with 7, which is pretty, a key middle. So,
betting the Giants just seems dirty. Just seems dirty.
No, the Giants can't possibly win, right? You may say, and I've heard guys say this, like, "Oh, the players want to win, Scott." I get that. Some do, but let's say you're Malik Neighbors, right? And you're going to be on this team for a long time, 4 more years anyway, at least, right? Do you want to have the Giants have the number 1 overall pick and get themselves a good quarterback, or do you want to win football games and maybe finish with the 3rd or 4th overall pick and not get your pick in a little bit the quarterback?
Players are they never think like that. They're all AJ Brown's bitching and complaining, and they're winning football games.
I know, but if you're neighbors and you come and you've been bitching, and you realize, you can't be that stupid, right? Even your agents, your buddies, they got to be going to you. What are you complaining about at this point? Shut up, drop balls, for goodness sake, lose, do whatever you have to do to lose to make sure you get the number 1 overall pick. You don't want to win now. I mean, I would think that would be pretty evident. I really I don't know how the NFL does
I wouldn't be complaining. I wouldn't be complaining about losing if I was these guys, because you do. I would have enough brains for let's say top pick, good players, we win, right? So that's good. But I'm not dropping balls here. Maybe I don't run a route as hard. I don't find my break as crisply here, but I'm not dropping balls. I can't do that. I just can't.
Well, all I know is if I'm Brian Daboll, 3rd and 10, am I throwing the ball? Nah, hand it off tackle.
Daboll's gone anyway. What does he care?
I don't think so. We'll look at more of the games when we come back. Yeah, they will. They will. In football full circle.
We're not saying every Sports Grid listener is a legend, but you might start thinking about who's going to play you in the movie.
Just saying.
This is the Sports Grid Radio Network.
California saw its biggest increase in registered lobbyists last session since at least 2011, when a change in the law caused the number to more than double. This update brought to you by Progressive. There was a roughly 10% increase in the number of lobbyists who registered for the 2023-24 session compared to the previous one, for a record of 3,245 people, according to the Secretary of State's office. Longtime lobbyist Chris Michelli sees it as the result of high turnover in the legislature, leading to a, quote, exodus of legislative staff who went into advocacy. The number of Americans applying for unemployment benefits held steady last week, though continuing claims rose to the highest level in 3 years. Jobless claim applications ticked down by 1,000 to 219,000 for the week of December 21st, according to the Labor Department. That's fewer than the 223,000 analysts forecast. Continuing claims climbed by 46,000 to 1.91 million for the week of December 14th. I'm Trey Westerberg with the Sports Grid News Flash.
I love spreading joy with gifts this time of year, but I try not to spread my budget too thin. Luckily, Kohl's has come through for me once again. I just went and used a 25% off coupon to score so many great gifts under $20, like cozy pajamas and fleece, amazing gift sets, and beauty must-haves. So if you're looking to give more for less this season, get to Kohl's. Select styles, offers end December 24th. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
Do you lay awake at night worrying about what to buy everyone on your holiday list? Well, Skechers is here for a holiday rescue with hands-free Skechers slip-ins, the right gift for everyone on your list. Because with hands-free Skechers slip-ins, you just step into them and they're on. There's no bending down, no touching your shoes, no retying laces. Plus, Skechers slip-ins are perfect for everyone. Moms, dads, grandparents, kids, friends, coworkers, and they're the most comfortable shoes they'll ever wear. Find them for the holidays at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
Ask any player and they'll tell you any advantage is important.
That's where we come in.
Sports Grid delivers gaming strategies and analysis 7 days a week.
The winning edge.
It's your advantage to more winning
more often.
This is the Sports Grid Radio Network.
All right, welcome back. It is Football Full Circle here on the Grid. Scott and George on this Friday afternoon. Talk a little NFL with the Giant game, as they take on the Indianapolis Colts, and really more so what's going to happen to Brian Daboll afterwards. I'm advocating losing, and the thought is, well, the head coaches don't want to lose, and I'm saying, well, you know what? well, what's the point? You might as well lose, get the number 1 overall pick, and then hopefully you have a job next year versus win games at this point. And you could call plays. I know that the argument the players are all going to try and win. All right, you know what? I'll give you that, even though I do think there will be some players that won't. But, if you're the head coach, 4th and 1 from the opposing team's 40-yard line, punt. 3rd and 10, run a play, don't throw. There's ways that you are trying,
Absolutely.
but really not trying to win. It's not that difficult to make it look normal, George. But I don't think he's going to be fired. I really don't. They've gone through so many head coaches. Giants, one of the more, veteran, obviously, franchise, been around forever. Loyalty and all that other mumbo jumbo. Unless Bill Belichick came, and that's clearly not going to happen because he took the job in North Carolina, which I still can't believe. But other than that, I mean, they've gone through how many head coaches now in the past, 6 years? Like 4. This will be 4. I mean, they've zipped through these guys, whether it's Judge or Hanlon. I mean, you got to stay with somebody. And the selling point, how do you sell that, you said? You sell the first overall pick. You don't worry about the head coach. Fans will worry about the head coach if they know they're gotten, if it's Shedeur Sanders, if he ends up being the number 1 overall pick. That's your selling point for next year.
All right. Counterpoint. And like I said, I think you do make a valid point here. I'm looking at the Giants here. They're going to, assuming they lose Sunday, they're going to lose every home game. Every damn one. You haven't won a game since October 6th. All right? 17-7, 28-3, 26-18, 27-22. I mean, the last month has just been gross. 35-14, 34-7. I mean, you're going to try to sell to this fan base. Okay, you're going to get Shedeur Sanders. I'm going to assume it's Sanders, by the way. And assume you get the number 1 pick, because I don't see how you're winning. I guess there's a snowball's chance that you could win next week if Philadelphia has nothing to play for. And then Hurts is not going to play in the concussion, but whatever. I guess there's a chance, which would be the irony of ironies, right? The one time they finally beat Philadelphia, and it killed be it. And by the way, you want to play the conspiracy theory? Shouldn't Philadelphia let them win? Sanders can't go there, right? Now let Sanders go to Las Vegas. Let him go to whatever. So that would be hilarious, by the way. But I'm going to assume they get the number 1 pick. My second question would be: do you trust this coach and this GM to bring him along? I mean, isn't that the first thing you have to worry about? What is best to bring Sanders along? We've seen so many top quarterbacks bust. All right, they couldn't do anything with Daniel Jones, right? That didn't work out there. And now you're going to trust him. Listen, I am not comparing Sanders and Jones. Sanders is a better prospect, no doubt. But still, I don't know if I trust this coaching staff to get the best out of him. I don't know. So, by the way, I'm also not, I don't know if Mara even wants Sanders, because that's, boy, now you got to deal with his father, too. His father's still going to be involved some way. And Mara's more of a conservative. I mean, that would be very interesting to see how that works out there. But I just don't know. Even with the number 1 pick, I don't know how you sell to this fan base that, oh, yeah, we're going to keep Dable. We're going to keep Shannon. Everything will be fine. Number 1 pick, everything's good. Everything's fine. I think that's a really tough sell. I mentioned to you during the break, Newsday ran an article. Newsday is the main paper here on Long Island, covers the Giants, Jets, over New York teams. And there was an article there, a top article, not one that was buried, but it was in the news section about Giants and Jet fans, long-term season ticket holders who are turning in their season tickets because they can't watch this anymore. They can't deal with this anymore. Some of the complaints, obviously, is the travel from Long Island to MetLife, which is very true here. But always just that the teams they suck. All right, they're awful year after year after year, and fans are just tired of it. I think it'd be a risky move to assume, once again, that this, because Scott, if they're in the same situation a year from now, I'm not talking 2-15, but 4-13, you're going to fire him anyway. And now you're talking Sanders has to start with another coach, another offensive system. I'd want to find the right guy now, or at least the right offensive guy now for Sanders.
It's like the Bears with Caleb Williams, right? With Eberflus, probably should have fired him before the season. Well, you gave him 1 year, and now you just kind of set Williams back because now he's got to talk about a whole new regime, offensive coordinator. So I get that, but I think this guy was coach of the year 2 years ago. I don't know what they saw, and why. The weird thing about this tandem, if you want to include Shane and Dable, is that they had Danny Nichols. They didn't draft him, right? The old regime did. They didn't pick up his 5th-year option. So they didn't like him for what they saw of him. Then he has the great year 2 years ago, goes to the playoffs, beats the Vikings. They love him so much, they got to give him a 4-year, $160 million contract. And then here we are 2 years later, a year and a half later, they throw him back out the window. So it went from we don't like him, don't pick up the 5th-year option, we love him, we got to give him a 4-year contract, to back to we don't like him again. So that would be a little bit of a concern, but I think Dable would get a couple of years, unless Danny Nichols signs with somebody else, as I like to call him, does well. Giants, have their typical, 4 or 5 win season under a rookie quarterback going through the regular lumps, and then Danny Dimes is having a great season with somebody else. Then I could see them getting fired. But but people, it's hard to get to the Meadowlands from New York nowadays. The traffic is crazy, in and out of there. It takes you. It's an all day thing. But I'm sure if they were Super Bowl, caliber, they would make that truck. But I could see people just saying, you know what, for $100, $125 a ticket, 4-ticket lot, $500 a day, just for the tickets, let alone the parking, 8, 9 home games, you're talking about $5,000. I could see where fans are just like, you know what, we just don't need them anymore. Can't resell them. They're worthless on the open market because everybody resells their tickets. So I'm not surprised about that article. I'm not. The biggie, Green Bay and Minnesota. You alluded to it. You like the Packers here on the road.
This series, there's been a split now almost always for the last, 10 years. Minnesota won the first game. That was the game where, by the way, if people remember, Minnesota was blowing them out in the first half, then almost choked it up in the second half when Jordan Love went bananas here. So I expect a good game here. I just think Green Bay's the better overall team. I think they're the better overall team. Probably no Jair Alexander this week, their top cornerback. That's a little concerning to me. So JJ and Addison should have a big game. But let's see how Sam Darnold actually does in a big game. This is a huge game. I think this will tell a lot about Sam Darnold on Sunday.
All right, we'll run down some of the other games when we come back. Football full circle here on the grid.
Luck is winning the lottery. Strategy is settling your divorce before cashing in the ticket.
It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.
Get the winning edge. This is the Sports Grid Radio Network. Sports Grid TV and radio networks are the premier streaming video and audio channels dedicated to serving the sports wagering audience. Found on major smart TV platforms and streaming on Sports Grid Radio and Sirius XM Channel 159. Sports Grid's real-time data, expert commentary, and entertaining analysis transform viewers into informed sports enthusiasts. Our weekday radio lineup begins with the early line at 8 a.m. Eastern with Ben Stevens and Donnie Rightside. Donnie joins Kevin Walsh on Money Line at 11 a.m. Eastern, followed by Football Full Circle at noon Eastern. Kaplan and crew join the party at 1 p.m. Eastern, and Pharrell Coast to Coast keeps things rolling from 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern. Get in the mix with Kevin Walsh and Game Time Decisions at 6 p.m. Eastern. Evenings simmer with Carver and Lisi, then boils over with Gabe Morency on Sports Rage Late Night at 10 p.m. Eastern. To find out where to find Sports Grid that's best for you, go to sportsgrid.com. It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.
How would you like to get high-speed internet for your home for less than $2 a day? That's right. For about $50 a month, you'll get lightning-fast internet. Are you paying less than $50 a month right now for your internet? Then call Whole Home Connect right now for blazing fast internet at $50 a month with no price increases, no hidden fees, no contracts, no upfront costs, no equipment fees. It's a great deal. And guess what? You can try it for 15 days. If you don't like it, you get your money back. But you're gonna love it, and you're gonna love the price. Internet for your home for $50 a month. That's less than $2 a day. Plus, no contracts, no upfront costs, no equipment fees, and our 15-day guarantee. Call now. 800-797-1292. 800-797-1292. 800-797-1292. That's 800-797-1292.
Think of us as your cool roommate that has this innate gift of somehow always picking winners and never bugs you about doing the dishes or paying rent. Sports gaming strategies and information 24/7.
Get the winning edge.
This is the Sports Grid Radio Network.
All right, welcome back. It is Football Full Circle here on the grid. Scott and George talking a little NFL. Two other games, at least anyway, we'll get to hear, George. We'll start up with your Cowboys. They announced this week CeeDee Lamb won't play rest of the way. They're shutting him down. He is over his season yardage total, so no concern about that. I did look that up. He's about 150 yards or so over. So if you have the over ticket, no yelling and screaming about that. Cowboys playing well, beat Tampa Bay, last week. They're only a game under 500 after their awful start. If you win the last two, you finish 9-8. I don't know. Are they winning the battle, losing the war? Speaking of head coaches coming back or not, is Mike McCarthy, coming back? Do you want him to come back? And what do you think about shutting down CD?
Is Mike McCarthy coming back? Yes. Do I want him to come back? No. They should have shut down CD weeks ago. All right. That's pretty much what I think about all that. Now, listen, as long as there's no permanent harm to CD, it's no big deal. But they did say the injury got worse, which is not a surprise. All right, he's got some kind of injury, and then he kept landing on the shoulder. All right, over and over again when being tackled here. So, good thing to shut him down. He'll be fully healthy for next season. This is a weird game. Without CD, I do not expect the Cowboys passing game to work all that much. It's hard to run on the Eagles as it is. I don't know where the Cowboys offense is coming from on Sunday. The problem is we found out right before showtime, Jalen Hurts seems unlikely to play. All right, he's still good. Sirianni came out and said he's doubtful. He's still in concussion protocol. Things can certainly change overnight. So maybe they get a break here. But Kenny Pickett versus Cooper Rush. Yay. No wonder the NFL flexed this game out, right? Put Minnesota and Green Bay in that slot. This is an ugly, ugly game. It's in Philadelphia. I mentioned earlier it's probably going to be raining. A little gray day there, ugly. I don't think I can lay 7 with Kenny Pickett. I just don't think I can. I can't bet Dallas either, mind you. But I'm not taking Pickett. And the under, by the way, has gone down to 38.5. So they're feeling the same way we are. This is going to be a slow, boring, sloppy game. Maybe we get turnovers and that'll add to the over here. But this seems to be a game right now that I'm going to leave alone until I find out more clarity on Pickett and Hurts. But I have nothing going for you right now. Philadelphia just needs to win one of their last 2 games, all right, to clinch the division here, assuming Washington wins Sunday night. So to win one of the last 2, we joked early in the show, Philadelphia plays the Giants next week. As much as they'd like the Giants to win and not be able to get Sanders, Philadelphia, if they do happen to lose to the Cowboys, will take care of business next week against the Giants.
Right. And you get the Barkley factor. Is he going to get his 200-plus yards over the next 2 weeks to set
I would pick it.
record? Yeah, no, I wouldn't think so, right? If you're smart, you're stuffing the box and forcing them to throw. Some tough lines. We said at the beginning of the show, some really tough lines this week. I mean, who wants to lay 7 with Kenny Pickett, right? I mean, wow. But then, you got a backup quarterback with a backup wide receiver on a team with no running game for Dallas. So it's like you really want to take your chances. You can even cover the spread on that one. How about Tampa Bay and Carolina? I'm sitting on an under Carolina 5.5 ticket. One more win, they go over. Okay, so we're getting plus 330 money line on Carolina if we want to hedge. They play at at Atlanta next week. So we got another road game for Carolina. So we had 3 opportunities. They won 1 last week. Are you willing to hedge, or you think they're going to lose one of these 2, right, over the next 2 weeks?
I think so. I do. Certainly hoping so.
I hope so.
Kudos to them. All right. And they may have found their quarterback, right? They may have found their quarterback in Bryce Young, all because Andy Dalton got into a car accident. All right. And Young got a second chance, and he looks good. And remember, Carolina should have beat Tampa Bay last time, right? That was the overtime game where Chuba Hubbard fumbled that ball. They were in field goal range. That game was going to end. So they choked that game up. We both mentioned earlier, that Tampa Bay, you probably can't lose to Dallas like you did on Monday night. That's a game you have to win. But hey, Sunday night, by the way, not Monday night. But you lost. What are you going to do? So 8.5. That seems a lot to me. That seems a lot. Carolina's not mailing it in. All right, they're playing hard. I'm going to take the 8.5 here. I think there's going to be some points scored as well. I'm probably going to go with the over 47.5. One prop I'm going to love. Everyone's going to love, by the way. Mike Evans. You mentioned Barkley, with the record he's chasing. Mike Evans wants to get over 1,000 yards to extend that streak down to 11, 13 years, whatever it might be. Needs to get, I want to say, average 93 yards a game, last 2, something like that. So I'll take his over. All right, I think they are going to throw the ball to him a whole bunch here. Carolina can't really stop anybody. And by the way, Carolina can't stop anybody on the ground. Bucky Irving should have a monster game.
Yeah, that's a good note with the Evans thing. Definitely. And these guys will look out for him, especially next week. Or in this case, this week, if they're up a couple of scores. So And Dolphins real quickly, Cleveland laying 6.5. Another tough game because if Denver wins, the Dolphins are done. So that's a tough.
If it would have been Winston, I would take Cleveland, but it's Dorian Thompson-Robinson. He's terrible. What are you doing? They're tanking too.
That's what I point to when you say, okay, we'll try, but realistically, yeah, let's put the scrub in there. George, great job as always. We'll do it again. Football full circle. You're on the grid.
Now you've done it.
You found the advantage for gaming, odds, and more. But we call it the winning edge for short. This is the Sports Grid Radio Network.